my name is Dr. Salim Javed and we are talking about understanding cinema, and we are precisely talking about year 1908, what was going on in the industry which is popularly known as Hollywood, what developments were taking place in the year 1908. Now, as I have said that the realm of directing, acting, cinematography, writing and laboratory work had evolved into distinct craft, each commanding equal respect and recognition. So this is almost around this time, not specifically this year only, around this time, people started accepting the importance of compartmentalizing the work for doing it more efficiently. Interesting part about this bifurcation was that everybody had equal respect and recognition. This was the beautiful part of it. Now, but the problem was that the people who were associated at this point of time with filmmaking process, they were associated with it in a sort of clock and ritual sort of a thing, where they were not artistically attached with the production, rather they were as if they are a worker in an assembly line. And because almost 13 years the films have been existing for last 13 or 14 years by this time, and everybody was saying that we are working day and night, we are putting our effort, so the fight for credit is from the beginning only. And by this time, around 1908 and 1909, nobody was given credit of their work, as it was denied from the very beginning to members associated with the filmmaking process. Now, what was the reason why it was denied? Now, suppose if I, um, I give you a very real life situation. Now, suppose if somebody calls me and says, Salim, you're supposed to write a story for me. I said, fine, I'll be writing. Then he says, okay, I'll give you 50,000 rupees for 5 pages, and but your name will not be there. Now it depends. If I am in serious need of money, which is the case that I am talking about, whether they give me work or not, I mean whether they give me credit or not, it does not matter. But if I am well off, I mean well off means that money is not a problem at that point of time. Well off is a broad term. Money is not a problem at that point of time. Then I would say, okay, fine, money is all right, though it is less, but I would like to have my name or my credit in the film. Now, what happens? There are two ways. This is how industry works. This is how Delhi works. This is how Bombay works. This is how South Indian film industry works. This is how Bhojpuri film industry works. This is how a lot of other film industry work. Take money, give me work, go off. I'll give you money. Okay, suppose if you are asking, okay, I'll take 5 lakh rupees. I'll give you my film. I mean, I'll write it for you. Give me money. I'll write it for you. Name is yours. Script is yours. Give me money. Second option, where that I'm talking about, the fight for credit is from the beginning only. Okay, you have done ghost writing for a long time, or you have been an assistant director for a long time, or you have been an assistant costume designer for a long time, you have been assistant makeup artist for a long time. Your I mean, everybody knows the makeup artist, everybody knows the costume designer, everybody knows the director. Hardly very few of us knows who was the assistant director, who was the assistant camera person, who was the assistant cinematographer, who was the assistant makeup person. So Now, suppose if I am a producer and I take you, then obviously there is an element of bargain. Nobody knows you. I am giving you name. How much will you charge? You say, suppose, sir, my work worth is 100 rupees. So the person says, okay, I'll give you 10, but I'm giving you the credit. I'm giving you the credit. Will you work for me? All your life you have been receiving money as an assistant, whichever department that you were working with. Now for the first time somebody is giving you name, credit, but the price is low. I'm offering you two options, whichever suits you, both the tracks, choice will be yours. So that is what exactly happening from the very beginning of filmmaking, that there was fight for credit. But obviously, suppose if I'm new to filmmaking process and I do not know anything, somebody has done a favor to me. He has said, okay, you come learn. I worked with them for 3-4 years. I learn the craft. I know things, and the day, then I become fluent in that. I have turned out to be a very efficient contributor in the process, and one day I go and tell them, I'm talking about year 1908, one day I go and tell them, okay sir, thank you very much, you give me money, you feed my family, I hate this statement, and thank you very much, but I want you to give me credit in your film. you know Reaction can be anything. Think of an industry which you and I idealize, or we used to idealize technically, you know. They are doing the same thing, which is like we talk about in India today. The fight for credit is from the beginning only, and it was denied from the very beginning only to the members associated with the film. Now, no one received screen credit for their contributions, as employers understood that a public reputation could drive up wage demand. This deliberate oversight not only undermined his or her efforts, but also perpetuated an unjust system where recognition was withheld to maintain control over cost. Now, if you write this down in your copy and you start evaluating this particular slide, you will understand budgeting, and you may take it as a bad thing, but a version of it is an alternative. Like, interestingly, Prabhas would give 5 years of his life for Bahubali, but after doing Bahubali, will he be doing it again? You and I know Prabhas in North India because of Bahubali. Maybe some people knew him before also, but I did not know him before Bahubali in North India. Now, because his name has become so big, now he has become a popular actor, so even the distributors or exhibitors were banking upon his name for his latter films in North India. And obviously some good bad result must have come out. So you may take this statement as a very positive statement also, and you may take it as a very negative statement. When I am reading it in year 19, in the context of year 1908, it is a bad thing. But when you listen to forums or group discussions, that how to control this production cost in Hindi film industry, so obviously, or in Hollywood film industry, so they talk about the slab, the actors, total actors should be the 30% of the total budget, or 20% of the total budget, or 15% of the total budget. The say 40% or 50% of the total budget should be invested in enhancing the value of the production, certain percentage should go this. Whereas I have been reading a lot of research papers, books and articles that for some time, especially at the beginning of this century, uh, you know the sometimes the leads charges were almost 70 to 80% of the total film. 1% charge was 70 to 80% of the film, and they were not doing well. So think of it that they were right or wrong. The beauty of these lectures that they are not, that we are not judgmental. We give you options. Like if you look at this on your screen, on no one received screen credit for their contribution, as employers understood that a public reputation could drive up wage demands. Now this is something why a established actor charges crores of rupees, because he or she has got a public reputation, you know established public reputation, and they say that because people know us, so your story, fine, it is important, but not that important. People will come to the theater for me or for us or for band of actors, and people have been buying it for last almost a century. And on the basis of this public reputation, public recognition, the the entire hoax of stardom was created. Now, and it says further that this deliberate oversight not only undermined their efforts but also perpetuated an unjust system where recognition was withheld to maintain control over cost. So, as long as Charlie Chaplin was an actor, the cost of the film was limited. The moment Charlie Chaplin became a phenomena, he was charging in millions in the turn of the century. That is what the difference is. That is how it works. That is how small things, sometime, what you see as right turns out to be wrong in a long term. What you see wrong initially turns out to be a boon in the longer run. It is all in the perspective, it is all in the times that you and I are living in. So, on the other hand, many directors, actors, and cameramen in the film industry felt a sense of shame about their involvement with the filmmaking process in those days. You know, no credit, element of shame, working in a factory like production. You think of that time, Edwin S. Potter gone, George Millier gone, a lot of people not finding a sense of belonging. The Hairy Ape is a beautiful story. All of you must read. Hairy Ape. I think the name of the story is Hairy Ape, or the man in the sea. Something. Any of this is the title of the story that I read in my MA. Now, they clung to their jobs out of necessity, often dismissing the incredible potential and opportunities that cinema could provide. Consequently, filmmaking was still widely perceived as a disreputable profession looked down upon by many. What an irony. Now, that is what I am saying, that anything which is considered to be beautiful, anything which is considered to be so efficient, anything which is considered to be so, so perfect, everything has gone through a phase of chaos, and the industry that dominates the world for many of the decades, they are going through the phase of chaos in this particular thing. The perception not only undermined the craft but also limited the industry's potential to evolve and be taken seriously. Now, as you can see, this perception not only undermined the craft but also limited the industry's potential to evolve and be taken seriously. When a director, actor, or the people associated with the craft, when you do not take pride in your craft, no one else would do that. And that is what I tell my students, that you need to be sure of what you are doing, rest of the world will be assured about it. Now, why this thing was happening? Why there was so much of chaos? In the early days, filmmakers often viewed their work as a mere production of cheap entertainment. I was talking about Nickelodeon, if you remember. Nickel, payment, and uh, because it was cheap, so a very specific group of people were the target audience. When you have a specific group of people as your target audience, so the general perception is created in that way. Your audience determines the standard of your category, and this is how you are perceived in life. A viewpoint that was undoubtedly justified from an economic standpoint. This mindset significantly hindered the serious advancement of the medium, settling its evolution for nearly a decade. For nearly a decade, that I'm talking about, from 1903, 4 to almost at the beginning of the First World War, 1914. So almost a decade has gone in chaos. People were churning out films, they were doing wonderful, they were making films. There was a surge in the construction of Nickelodeon. Exhibitors exhibition was booming. Distributor, the middleman has come. Production companies do not have time to rest. They are doing everything. Everybody is making money. Everybody is busy. People are working, but there is no sense of belonging, and you are perceived, even the makers are perceived or viewing themselves as mere production of cheap entertainment. So there was no class technically, there was no certain certain acceptance, some sort of an acceptance wasn't there, and you were doing because you were doing. I mean, lectures like these sometimes are so take you out of your comfort zone, that okay, something like this also exists or existed. So it sometimes it becomes really important to know the bizarre side of a phase which was not working, and what it took this phase to transform itself into a system which started working at a fabulous speed for all sort of people, from rich to poor, intellectual people, commoners, business, politics. Everybody started appreciating. So there has to be something in it, So that's why when D.W. Griffith comes in picture, he's regarded so high, because people have people have seen this time, where you yourself, where you as a creator are not respecting your craft, and here comes a man who not only establishes the reputation, but he makes it a standard for rest of the world, that we are not into mere production of cheap entertainment, we are into the making of an art form. So this viewpoint, that's why D.W. Griffith becomes so important. That's why Charlie Chaplin becomes so important. That's why Buster Keaton becomes so important. That's why you know other people that I'll be talking about. That's why Russian cinema becomes so important. That's why Italian cinema becomes so important. That's why Spanish cinema becomes so important. French cinema becomes so important, because it was not mere production of cheap entertainment. They were they took or formatted us. Lot of interesting directors. Lot of interesting directors before independence, after independence. It was not cheap anymore. When as long as it is cheap, you will be treated like that. So this, because there was an element or there was an association of cheapness with the medium, so there was no technological uh, advancement. There was like, fine, money is happening, it's going on, it's fine, everybody is making money, but there was no reputation attached to it. This mindset significantly hindered the serious advancement of medium, and stalling its success for almost a decade. Historically, the demand and monotony of the production system in cinema have frequently compelled filmmakers to adopt a practical mindset toward their craft. The same thing that I have been talking about. Okay, fine, do your work, finish your work, please don't get into it. This is what it is, this is how it should be done, get it done, you have this much of time, finish it, chop it, squeeze it, resize it, send it, sell it, earn it, go back home. So this is what was the phase. Unfortunately, this pragmatic approach stifles or suppresses stylistic innovation and restricts the free flow of creative idea, ultimately hindering the art form's evolution. There was none of this there was none of the intellectual experiment and creative fragments which we might expect to find at the birth of the art form, because no one was yet equipped to acknowledge the birth. So between 1903 and 1912, the industry's level of artistic and technical competence scarcely ever rose above the marginal adequate. The financial competition among rival production companies was fierce and often descended into lawlessness. Now think of something like that. Intellectual experimentation is not happening. Fine, it can be understood. There was no creative force behind making film. Fine, it can be understood. Nobody has recognized it, the medium itself, as an art form. Fine, it can be understood. And it is not artistic process. Nobody is seeing, though you have seen two brilliant examples, Edwin S. Potter and Edwin S. Potter and George Millier. You have seen. So there was some sort, some level of artistry was definitely there, or rather high level of artistry was there, and people after them, not understanding the artistic and technical competence. Fine, don't. But what was not so good about this phase, that there was physical tussle happening between production companies, and there is a one very interesting concept which I will definitely which is called uh, uh, let me just tell you this thing. It is called MPPS. Now why company, this is a patents group, they have their own story, trust me. I really want to unfold it, but I'm very sure that I'll be unfolding it in the next. Now, to summarize everything, think of it like this, that Thomas Alva Edison gone, not Thomas Alva Edison, George Millier gone, Edwin S. Potter gone, films are made, there is no artistry, no technical superbness, brilliance is there. They are making, people are loving it, but it's a cheap medium. People who are working in the medium, they do not belong to the medium. Now comes something interesting that not only brings back people's expectation, but also understand that, sometimes, the road to have peace in life, the road is bloody. We'll talk about MPPS in the next video. Thank you very much.